Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Marvin County Sheriff's Office. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Marvin County District Attorney's Office. Paul C. Messer, James Young Jr., Pamphlet Town Court. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. This is the Freedom of Information Law. It is dated this May 24th. There are 17 in here. You refuse to comply with all 17 because you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, are corrupt. You, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, are corrupt. You, Alex State Supreme Court, are corrupt. You, Paul C. Metz and James Young Jr., Pamphlet Town Court, are corrupt. When I state the lunatic fringe, I'm going to show you what the lunatic fringe is. You Benito Mussolini, party-switching, degenerate, psychopath Todd Baxter. Right here. That's called a surveillance device, Todd Baxter, that I was on repeatedly, that you initially lying about it, because you know you can lie about it when I use that term. This is 2025 Penfield Road, where Elliot Roth works. He's the president of a business called Consumer Insights. I'm walking through the parking lot for the 4,000th time. And he's standing outside with this gruesome smile. He says to me, quote, "You're going to be arrested," end quote. And he knows I know. I don't know what he's talking about. I've talked about him repeatedly and his employee that works there, Nancy Dooley, after I heard her precious fucking feelings when I told Nancy Dooley to fuck off when she was staring at me when I was walking my dog. And Nancy Dooley at this business, Consumer Insights, called the sheriff's office to come to my house. And there are two of your fanatics, two of your degenerates, two of your deviants, Todd Baxter, right in my face, 6 inches from my face. One of them screams at me, "What did you say to the woman in the car?" I say, "What the fuck are you looking at? Fuck you." And then your employee at the sheriff's office, Todd Baxter, says to me, "Don't swear at me." Are you under some kind of confusion as to why people hate the police in the United States of America? Have you been to New York City or Long Island? Because New York City, where I was born, and Long Island, where I grew up, is different than the rest of New York. When you're north of the Bronx, it's different in the best ways possible. That's why people love New York, because people are so different. The people in SUNY Fredonia and Buffalo are different than the people in Plattsburgh, are different than the people in Syracuse and Rochester and Albany. People are different. And in New York City, and especially Brooklyn, profanity is common. So I hurt the precious fucking feelings of this Nancy Dooley as this business consumer instance. Then you are coming to my residence to tell me how to talk. When who uses profanity more than any other profession in the United States of America, Sheriff Todd Baxter? It's the cops. It's the color photo. The photo I'm going to show up in the Freedom of Information Law documents is the black and white photo. On this May 24th, you're going to refuse to comply with all 17 of these. These are all in your office, either via email, mail, registered mail, UPS, FedEx, any number of ways. I've demanded this information from you repeatedly. The information I'm demanding that interests me the most is the names of my prosecutors of silence. And here's the payroll for the District Attorney's Office. Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles. I contacted you on January 1, and I asked you what I had been demanding for the previous 18 months. What are the names of my prosecutors? And here you are right here, Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles, 113,918 and 94 cents. Who's the freak? I have multiple freaks. There's a freak before John P. Lomenzo Jr. Pamphlet Town Court was a prosecutor. There's a freak before Paul C. Metz from Pamphlet Town Court that's a prosecutor. There's a freak who elevated me to Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court as a prosecutor. What are the names of freaks? Perry Duckles. You know the answer because it's in your office. When I appear in court, I have a prosecutor assigned to the fiction and the lies, the fantasy and the heads of these psychopaths at the sheriff's office, of these deviants at the sheriff's office, like Shannon Meyer, we're going to talk about momentarily. Shannon Meyer, Todd Baxter's then $67,000 deviant, was given a $16,000 raise to $83,000. Everything that's happened to me because this deviant, $83,000 Shannon Meyer, the sheriff's office, Todd Baxter was not fired. So, who is it? Perry Duckles. You know who it is. Just like you, Marky Monahan, $112,000, paid $1,000 left. I think you're the number 3 at the district attorney's office, the power structure of the district attorney's office here. Is it Michael J. Harrigan, $102,000? Is it Elizabeth D. Buckley at $104,000? Is it Robin Catalano, $107,000? Is Raymond Bean is $104,000? Sarah Van Strydick, $104,000? Who's the freak prosecuting me in total silence before John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Penfield Court, before Paul C. Metz in Penfield Court, and Alex Renzi in Penfield Court, because I will seek disbarment for all these freaks with the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court. Based on my research, that's where an attorney can be disbarred in New York State. Who is it? Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles and the public defender Julie Sianka not only is refusing to disclose the names on process that she knows the names of, she's sending my mail back to me, along with Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips and Assistant Public Defender Regina Harper. I hope you know, Mark and Regina, that I once did have respect for you, and it's slowly eroded. I just didn't wake up and decide that you're just every bit as corrupt as the District Attorney's Office. It was a long, slow process where I arrived at the fact that you, Mark Phillips, and Regina Harper are just as corrupt as the District Attorney's Office, and here's why. Mark Phillips, what are the names on prosecutors? You refuse to answer, that's why you're corrupt. Regina Harper, what are the names on prosecutors? You refuse to answer, that's why you're corrupt. Julie Sianka, you can send this information to me right now. If you watch me, I'll never know who watches me. I only care about a few individuals. Christopher.chichester@mail.com, mail to me. That's my mail.com. I'm going to say this again for you, public defender Julie Sianka. That's what I'm going to tell Sabrina Lamar and every member of the Monroe County Legislature about you, the public defender, are refusing to disclose the names of my prosecutors. This is information you have at the public defender's office. You can't claim you don't know, you don't have it. That's why you're corrupt, Julie Sianka. To call a public official anywhere in the United States of America requires evidence. The evidence, Julie Sianka, is you have names on prosecutors. You're not only refusing to tell me those names, you're sending my mail back to me where I'm paying to reach you. Who's the freak, Julie Sianka? And you, Julie Sianka, the public defender of Monroe County, are a freak because you're refusing to disclose this information to me. So, here she is right here, Shannon M. Meyer, 83-291-42 Is there a civil service pay scale that you, Todd Baxter, you $0 Michael Rather, you Scott O'Berty, you $101,000 William Tadeo use at the sheriff's office? Is your boss, Todd Baxter, use some kind of civil service pay scale? Every single employee on this page of this freak Shannon Meyer who began instruction on my life is paid in cents. I have delivered a public employee payroll to the media when I worked for Governor George Pataki and Senate Majority Ralph Marino in Albany in the Capitol for 8 years. I've delivered the payroll to the media when I worked as the press secretary for Congressman Lamar Smith of Texas, communications director for the United States Senate Committee on Small Business chaired by Senator Olympia Snowe of Maine. I've looked at the payroll. I know what everybody was paid. And I don't care what anybody's paid because I just did my job. But I do know that it can destroy the morale in an office because people are naturally jealous when they see that someone they think is superior, that they have superiority to, is being paid more money. This cop freak Shannon Meyer should be fired immediately. A warrant for my arrest for a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. That's insane. I've used that word too on YouTube. Michael Houlihan is perjurer. Cop freak Shannon Meyer writing a warrant for my arrest for a parking lot I have walked through 4,000 times, just like my neighbors, just like Benton High School students. Just my excellent friend Adam used to live right next to me, the elderly woman across the street. It's only me that you're targeting for walking through this parking lot. It's not a crime to walk through that parking lot. And this is because his name Ross Shah and Layla Kumar Shah, 2033 Pemke Road, talk about them. This is the first freak that I'm looking at here, Shannon Meyer. Am I New York's 4,000-time criminal, Todd Baxter? You will have to say yes. I have sent the warrant for my arrest for walking through this parking lot. I took every sentence from this cop freak Shannon Meyer and responded to it. And I've read that on YouTube repeatedly, and it's in your office repeatedly. Michael Houlihan's perjurer. Michelle Crowley, why didn't you call me to the grand jury about this cop freak? 73,312 and 85 cent Michael Houlihan. Michael Houlihan, an $85,000 down bed that was stalking me in Penfield, New York 2 years ago. Michelle Crowley, you know what I'm talking about because I wrote this down too. I leave my residence 2 years ago to walk to Wegmans. Pay attention, Michelle Crowley, because this is what I would have said to your grand jury, these 18 to 24 anonymous idiots that you want to be idiots. If you would have called me to the grand jury to testify, and then you, Michelle Crowley, you could have stood right in front of me, and you could have asked me anything you wanted. You want to indict me? You want me to be your ham sandwich? You can indict a ham sandwich. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's so easy for a citizen to be indicted. If it's distinguished American, like former Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberg can be indicted, anybody can, as Donald Trump just found out. Michael Houlihan and Don Benedetto walked onto the private property of my elderly neighbor. I do not yet know, but I'll find out the constitutionality of the cops lying in wait on private property for a citizen. They come running at me, I turn around and run away, and I stop right. I get to my back porch. I just grab the hammer. Michael Houlihan grabs my arm, the hammer goes up, I pull away, I run through the sliding glass door. I never stop running on the body camera footage of either Michael Houlihan or Don Benedetto or both. I say, fuck you. I never stop running. Michael Houlihan, the fantasy land of this diseased cop's head, this corrupt cop's head. He went back to your district attorney's office. He met with you at the district attorney's office, Michelle Crowley, and he said I swung a hammer at him on my back porch. Why didn't you call me, Michelle Crowley, on the phone for an interview? Why didn't you call me to the grand jury? Is there a transcript to the grand jury? When Michael Houlihan states in that grand jury, I swung a hammer, he becomes a perjurer. And that doesn't matter to you. Doesn't matter to Todd Baxter. Doesn't matter to Sandra Doorley. Because you're corrupt. Because you're psychopaths. Because you're deviants. That's why. I will pursue your disbarment, Michelle Crowley. How do you answer that as the director of the grand jury? So, cop freak Michael Houlihan, perjurer. I put that word on YouTube about him. I'm in my residence there outside, and there I think there were about 8 or 9 of them out there too. This Lord of the Flies at the sheriff's office. So within the next 48 hours, I don't know that, again, my front door is going to be watched by the sheriff's office. Why the psychopaths, Richard J. Seaman, watch my front door, watch me exit, walk to the Pemberton Public Library, and Richard J. Seaman violently attacked the Pemberton Public Library. I've been on YouTube about him. I've written, I've been on TikTok about him, and I've written documentation in Gmail and in documents I've sent to the sheriff's office with this violent attack upon me by Richard J. Seaman. I'm going to be attacked again by these psychopaths, by these deviants at the sheriff's office. When I close my door, just like Richard J. Seaman stalking me to Pemberton Public Library, I'm being watched by a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee. I walk to Willow Pond Way to go to Wegmans. I walk past Crown Oak Estates. That's when I see from Pemberton Road, one Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle drive by. Then I see a second and third one. I'm thinking, this is not good for me to have to be here for a minute. This is why psychopaths at the sheriff's office. This is why you, Todd Baxter, are a psychopath. I get to the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans. A Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee exited his vehicle, ran at me, knocked me down, and my head slammed down on the concrete pavement. The 1984 of your Jonestown at that sheriff's office. A Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee who watched this freak attack me, who watched this deviant attack me. Then he leans over to me, the guy who didn't attack me, as I'm surrounded by 10 Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees. This is what he says to me. I'm motionless on the ground, my head slammed down on the concrete. Don't move, Chris. Something happens to a police officer, sheriff's office employee when the first day of the job starts, where they're fundamentally altered and changed, where they can no longer exist in decency and they can no longer recognize the truth because they're in a Jonestown. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office is Jonestown. When I'm violently attacked and I'm motionless on the concrete outside the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans, and that cop freak that works for Todd Baxter watched this violent attack upon me, and then he says to me, don't move, Chris, as the other cop freak walked away. And I'm surrounded by 10 cop freaks. There's something really wrong with that Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee with his don't move, Chris. You believe in violence. I've been violently attacked at the jail too, and I've been violently attacked at other places that I'm going to talk about soon. When I contact the Department of Health, Department of Mental Health about you, Todd Baxter, because you gave my healthcare records to Paul C. Metz from Pemberton Court. And you're doing other things to me. Where did I go from Monroe County Jail? You know where I went. Do you know where I went from Livingston County Jail? And both times I was released. The first time, when I went to this particular place with a 3-letter acronym on Elmwood Avenue, Dr. Jeremy Smith said to me, you shouldn't be here. I'll write the order, and I was released without a 7:30. Then I had to take the 7:30 at this particular place I went to after Livingston County Jail, and she released me too. I'm being forced into these 7:30 mental health evaluations because of you deviants at the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, Pemberton Court, and New York State Supreme Court. And they could be manipulated and abused, which happened to me one time. I'm going to talk about that when I contact the Office of Mental Health, Department of Mental Health. The Office of Mental Health in Albany, Department of Health in Albany, and the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. On this day, on this May 24th, 2023, you're going to refuse to comply with all 17 of these. Tell me the answers. You deviants, you freaks, you sociopaths at the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office, and you refuse because you're deviants and freaks and sociopaths. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times a prosecutor has not talked in court. Freedom of information. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra. That is 1, the month, day, and year the grand jury is convened. 2, the assigned district attorney's office employees that addressed the grand jury. 3, that voted the grand jurors. 4, the witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 5, transcript of the grand jury proceeding. All 5 are on there. I'm going to write this again, update this. I'm going to send it to your office. You have it from me. This should be good enough. But I'll make copies of this. I'll make a copy of this YouTube. I'll send it registered mail, return receipt, UPS or FedEx to the district attorney's office. Sandra Doorley will look right at this. Michelle Crowley will look right at this, refuse to comply. And that's why you, Michelle Crowley, and you, district attorney Sandra Doorley, are corrupt. This is Richard J. Seaman attacking me. This is why I know I have $61.39 in my pocket, because when I was released from Monroe County Jail, I was given this check. Send that money back to me, Todd Baxter. $61.39 is in my pocket when $75,904 psychopath cop Richard J. Seaman stalked me into the Pembroke Public Library. It's my money. Send it to me. Freedom of information, like issuance of a new check to Christopher charges the address both for an expired track in the amount of $61.39 for the County of Monroe Office of Sheriff May Fund account, because that's the dollar amount in the pocket of Chichester when he was violently attacked at the Pembroke Public Library by $75,904 Richard J. Seaman of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. He should be fired immediately. I'm going to write a criminal complaint about him. He still won't be fired. These are the names of the prosecutors. Perry Duckles, you have these names in the district attorney's office. Judy Salk, you have these names in public defender's office, just like you, Mark Phillips, and Eugene Harper do. Tell me these names. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester with John P. Lorenzo Jr. in Pembroke Town Court. What's the name of the prosecutor? Is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn? I know what this female prosecutor looks like. I just don't know her name. You know her name, Perry Duckles. You know her name, Julie Salk. You know her name, Mark Phillips. You know her name, Eugene Harper. Prosecutor's not backing down. This is the boy. Again, I know what he looks like. Just like the prosecutor before, John P. Lorenzo Jr. Because, you know, when you said to me the prosecutor's not backing down, you had to have contact with him. So you know the name of this boy. This boy in Pembroke Town Court is 3-piece suit. Perry Duckles, you can easily find, send to me, Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. Tell me the name of this boy. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester with Paul C. Metzer, Pembroke Town Court. What the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. This boy and Paul C. Metzer decided I'm going to be in Livingston County Jail. 2 people decided. State legislature in Albany, Senate Majority Leader Andrew Stewart Cousins, Speaker Carl Heastie, and Governor Kathy Hochul need to revisit and reform these laws that allow one judge anywhere in New York, from Montauk, New York City, Plattsburgh, all the way across the state to Buffalo and Fredonia, to determine guilt or innocence. That's how innocent citizens are in jail. Who is it? Tell me this boy's name. And then, you're so fanatical and you're so corrupt, you're going to elevate me to Alex Renzi, who's just not any hack over at the hackocracy that's New York State Supreme Court, where there are 18. He's the hack. He's the supervising judge at $208,000, a 7-year-old fossil. Who did this to me? It's the prosecutor assigned to Alex Renzi. That's so. I get this document, my temporary residence, 70 Liberty Pole Way, and I'm forwarded to Alex Renzi. Here I am trying to get on my life. I'm trying to move back to Albany. If I didn't get this document in the mail that compels me to be in front of Alex Renzi, I would have been back in Albany right now, where I lived in the city for 5 years. I lived in the county for 10 years. I love that whole area. But I'm not. I'm not, because of this freak here who forced me into Alex Renzi. And you, Perry Duckles, know the name of this freak. And you, Julie Sianka, know the name of this freak. What's the name of this freak that forced me into Alex Renzi? Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is his name? Prosecutor Sandra Doorley. Tell me the name of that freak. So, this is the private healthcare records. Paul C. Metzer asked me a question I only told my mother and father. Regina Harper knows, but I didn't tell Regina Harper. You gave Paul C. Metzer my private healthcare records in violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act passed by my former employers, United States House of Representatives, United States Senate, in 1996. Freedom of information, a copy of the healthcare records delivered to $28,000 Pembroke Town Court Judge Paul C. Metzer by Sheriff Todd Baxter, Monroe County, in violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's right here. What I'm going to read. It's right there. That's called surveillance device. That's called camera. Todd Baxter, that's not a surveillance device. That's not a camera. What's it called? You're going to be arrested, right, Elliot Robb? What's wrong with you, Elliot? I would never do to you what you did to me. I would have came right over to you. If the roles were reversed, I work where you did it 20, 25 times a road, and you lived 26 Amsterdam Drive, I would have came right to your door. I would have said, these psychopaths are planning to arrest you for walking through this parking lot. You need to be aware of that. I would have did that, because I wouldn't want to, despite what I think about you, I wouldn't want to see your civil and constitutional rights violated by psychopath cops, Elliot. Cost of surveillance device purchased taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, fixed to a building 2025 Pembroke Road to monitor if Christopher Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, walks through the parking lot next to the building. And that's the lunatic friend. Did you buy it and fix it for me, Benito Mussolini skinhead Todd Baxter? Or is this private technology? You refuse to answer because you're a deviant. That's why. Is there sexual harassment at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office? The cost of taxpayers' money, Sheriff Todd Baxter expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits to better comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the payroll for the sheriff's office. On payroll on this page is a female employee who is Alexandra E. Baker, 83,291 and 33 cents. Alexandra E. Baker, I don't know if I'm talking to you, but Todd Baxter, if you cared about that Freedom of Information law I just read, you would call your $83,000 employee Alexandra E. Baker into the sheriff's office and ask her a simple question: have you ever been sexually harassed? And that's too limited. Sexual harassment has to be defined. Alexandra E. Baker can help you find the answer. Todd Baxter, you know what it is? It's a man asking a woman out on what's commonly called a date over and over and over. She's under secret. No. It's a man touching a woman at the office. She says, keep your hands to yourself. Don't touch me. It's vile, vulgar, lewd, profane language in the office, oftentimes laden in misogyny, that makes it impossible to focus and concentrate. It's any number of things. When I worked in Albany for the majority leader, there was a female staffer who was coming over to where I lived at 157 Winthrop Avenue to knock on the door. And I told her to leave me alone. This is in 1993 when I was 28 years old, and I was working for majority leader Ralph Marino. I told her repeatedly, leave me alone. So one day, I worked on the third floor of the Capitol. I had to go up to the fourth floor, which is where the program office was. And here she comes walking down the stairs. I stopped right in front of her. And she couldn't get past me. And this is late at night, because budget negotiations were going on. And I said to this young woman, if you ever come over to my residence again and knock on my door while I'm there, I will attack you. And I never saw her again. And I'm not particularly proud of doing that, but it stopped when I was a young man. She just went out and leave me alone. I'd like to know if any of these male employees here, because sexual harassment, the reason why I cite that, it's not for narcissism. I'm not self-absorbed. That's personal experience. And when I ask someone, as I do on here, if they've been sexually harassed, it's always a female. But on this list here, I'm going to take someone who's relatively junior, if I can see it, a male employee. It's not relatively junior, but Eric J. Willman is $80,934. Eric J. Willman can be the victim of sexual harassment at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office by either a senior female employee that will not leave Eric J. Willman alone here, or anybody at the sheriff's office. It could be a male Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee sexually harassing Eric J. Willman. It manifests itself in any number of ways, sexual harassment. So what's the answer? Have you used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits, commonly called sexual harassment? That's what I'm attempting to find out here using this form. And you're refusing to comply and answer because you're corrupt. Freedom of Information law. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related lawsuits federal comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It's the payroll for the district attorney's office. So on here, on the payroll for the district attorney's office is Jennifer R. Kennedy at $88,884 and 67 cents. Are you Jennifer R. Kennedy being sexually harassed, as you understand the term, at the district attorney's office? On his payroll, he was Jennifer R. Kennedy, 88,884 and 67. Down here is Kelly M. Kenyon at 32,005. So that is a significant difference in pay. That's a $56,000 differential. And that's why Kelly M. Kenyon is more vulnerable to be a victim of sexual harassment than Jennifer R. Kennedy, because he had $30,000+ difference in pay. Do you know what I'm talking about? You deviants at the district attorney's office about sexual harassment. And what I'm also confused about is I've ridden my bike by 47. How do you get everybody in that little shack? Do you have satellite offices? Is everybody on payroll in 47 South Fitzhugh? That's bizarre. Do you have satellite offices and people work from home? Not everybody's an assistant district attorney. What I'm also going to demand from you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, is the titles for everybody here. I only know the titles based on what you have online. But you can answer what I just asked. What I demanded. Pardon me. I'm not asking you. When it's in the form of a question, I'm telling you to tell me the answer. I'm demanding information from you, and you're refusing to comply. And is there overtime or time and a half at the sheriff's office? Total cost of overtime, time and a half, all paid on base salaries calculated to Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Todd Baxter. Payroll of the sheriff's office. Employees can double their salary. So, on this payroll of the sheriff's office is $116,000 Jennifer Farina. I believe she's the highest paid female employee at the sheriff's office, but I could be incorrect. I'd have to look at every salary. Is $116,000 Jennifer Farina paid overtime, Todd Baxter, or time and a half, however that's done? You know the answer. Refuse to answer, but you're corrupt. And what I say is when I contact Thomas P. DiNapoli, and I have to print out the transcript, and Thomas P. DiNapoli sees what I've been saying about this employee at the sheriff's office, $116,000 Jennifer Farina. And if Jennifer Farina, Todd Baxter, is paid more money than you at $132,000 with overtime, does she exist at $150,000, $175,000? What's the answer, Sheriff Todd Baxter, about Jennifer Farina? Tell me the answer, Todd Baxter. And you're drenched in corruption, and you refuse to tell me the answer, even though every single employee in your entire existence is because of tax dollars. Freedom of Information Law. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, hour paid on a base house calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. So here is the District Attorney's payroll. I'll go to the next page here, page I haven't been on yet. Now, one employee here is a six-figure employee on that page. That's the third page. But can Timothy M. List, the first name, $46,000, exist at twice as much, $92,000 with overtime? I don't know. You know. And another employee here is Rhoda Elizabeth Collins at $55,810. Does Rhoda Elizabeth Collins, can she double her salary to $110,000 with overtime? I don't know. You know. So, this is corruption here. There was no overtime when I was a public employee in Albany and Washington, D.C. Salary was the salary. You know why? Because elected officials don't want the liability of overtime. That's why. They don't want their employees being in the news media, the Washington Post, the Times Union in Albany, where it can be reported what I'm trying to find out about you at the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, is do your employees double the salary with time and a half overtime? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. So, Todd Baxter, what are your employees doing? I'm trying not to laugh. I really try not to laugh sometimes. And you're such a buffoon and stooge and a narcissist. I used to laugh at this. I don't laugh at anything anymore. Because there's nothing funny about how I'm fundamentally altered and changed by being in jail 6 times a prosecutor to talk to court. Freedom of Information. The cost for photography session photograph 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater in a pool approved by Todd Baxter. I don't care if it's a private event. As I've said before, I don't give a shit if it's a private event. Is this taxpayer dollars? It's not taxpayer dollars. Again, when I contact Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli in Albany, I'll say you refuse to answer. I believe you will even refuse to answer to control. You need to be audited, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, and I believe that if you were audited, I'm absolutely confident you're doing unethical things about money, but the controller will be able to determine if you're doing illegal things about money, which I don't know. You do. Julie Sianka, what is salaries to public defender's office? You, Mark Phillips, Regina Harper, and you have other public defenders, too. Are your public defenders attacking anybody in court, like the court employees or the assistant attorneys? Tell your assistant public defenders not to attack a court employee or sheriff's office employee right there at the courthouse. All right, public defender Julie Sianka? Again. So the names and salaries of public employee at the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, Julie Sianka. You refuse to answer. Just like you're refusing to disclose information you have, that's my prosecutor's silence. And that's why you're corrupt. The name's salary is very public employee, Pemberton Court, 1985 Bad Road, Pemberton, New York. I know it's you, $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul C. Metzer, and you, $34,000 James Wayne Jr. How many employees do you have? Got the old lady there at that little window. I go to that little window. I'm demanding the defective documents for the Dan DeLouse III case. I show up. I give them the freedom of information. I go home. John P. Menzer Jr., when he's in Pemberton Court, called the Monroe County Office of Mental Health for Lindsey Barron to come to my house. And they still haven't complied with these. I've demanded this over and over and over. Daniel DeLouse III was seen by individuals on Anatel Lester or Armatel Luster in Penfield, where he's soliciting children. And he was released. John P. Menzer Jr. in Pemberton Court does not recuse himself from the case of Dan DeLouse III in Pemberton Court because he knows the family. Massive conflict of interest. I'm going to get the conflict of interest about you, Paul C. Menzer, James Wayne Jr. in the future. But Lemez, this is a corruptionist little room where there isn't a jury of 12, there isn't a table for a defense attorney, there isn't a table for a prosecutor, there's no box for witness testimony. A joke, this room. So, is it just Paul C. Metzer, James Wayne Jr., just you two hacks, and the old lady, and that's it? Is that the entire Penfield Town Court? What's the answer? How many employees are there at Penfield Court? What are the salaries beyond you, $28,000 bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzer, and you, James Wayne Jr.? Named salaries for the public employee, Penfield Court, 195 Bad Road, Penfield, New York. You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. And it's what I'm going to tell Thomas P. Napoli, who audits local governments, and Penfield Court is considered a local government under the jurisdiction of the controller. So, the supervising judge here, this $208,000 hack and fossil, where I said to him when I was in there, you had to go all the way to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia to get your degree. You could go to Albany Law, some other law school in New York. So because I'm trying to enrage him, and I don't conform to the normal behavior of defending the courtroom. So the supervising judge here, Alex Renzi, when they're 18 at the hackocracy, he has clerks, and he'll refuse to answer. This is why he's corrupt. He should have clerks being supervising judge. That's understandable. But what are they paid? He's gotten this over and over now from me. I don't hear anything from him. And I'll be back in front of this hacking fossil. All it takes is one of you psychopaths in the district attorney's office. You just concoct a lie. The warrant's out there. I'll be tracked and stalked by the sheriff's office. You'll bring me to him. He'll just declare me guilty and I'll be in jail again. When that happens, I'll have this as a record of me saying that's going to happen. Where I will reject any type of defense from the public defender's office. What do I need them for? Because I've never been defended. Their job is to come to jail, I'm already in jail, and then fill out a piece of paper and I'm released. Named Sandra, very public employee, New York State Supreme Court. I'm the supervisor judge out from the 99 Exchange Boulevard in Rochester, New York. This is Ryan Fisher in Atlanta. I don't have the photographs of him, but I've held them up repeatedly because I'm in the interest of time now. The cost for hotel and plane ticket from Monroe County Sheriff's Office employed Ryan Fisher, who attended the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. Now, Todd Baxter is a contract for firearms. So this is going to be the last form I'm going to read. Todd Baxter, you have a contractor for those handguns. It's not just the handguns, it's the long guns, it's the rifles. Who is it? You make this decision about how to purchase your weapons. And how's that done? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. Contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contractor, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, the whole amount of taxpayer dollars spent to purchase firearms. So that's it. Here on this May 24th at 33 minutes of 17, you have it. I'm going to put this in the mail, either the way I've done it previously. You'll either get it, registered mail return receipt here. You'll either get it FedEx, you've already received here, or you'll get it UPS. And you'll refuse to comply with whatever you want. This should be good enough. Me being on YouTube, it's attached to PDF. I read it. Every single one of them, you already received too. So, and the corruption of periodicals here on this January 1, I'm telling you, what's not to understand, I've demanded names on prosecutors to silence for 18 months. Here. Over and over and over. I've demanded this. I'm going to contact again Lollipop Farm Humane Society. Read parts of this. Coming to my residence, demand my dog. Really, the lunatic fringe of the cops showing up to demand my dog. Do you not know, Todd Baxter, how much citizens in the United States of America love their dogs? This is Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia. That's what I'm looking for. I didn't have it in there, but this is him. It's a little dark there. Your employee, that's Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that's the logo. This is Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher with his dog Lola here in Atlanta, Georgia. How much was the plane ticket? How much was the hotel? How much was the care and feeding of his dog Lola? Todd Baxter, I'm going to tell you how to be corrupt. This is extremely important. Don't go to the media. Do not go to Elon Musk's Twitter and tweet about being corrupt. As we get ready to watch Super Bowl, we're grateful to men and women signed to keep fans and players safe in Atlanta, including MCSO's own Deputy Ryan Fisher and K9 Lola. Deputy Fisher sent this photo from Atlanta. Explanation point. Thank you both for your service. This is not service. Here he is, Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia. Joke, a disgrace. I used to see this when I was in the 101st on 41A, which goes in front of the 101st Airborne Division, and that connects Hopkinsville, Kentucky, with Clarksville, Tennessee. I'd occasionally see this, and I didn't really think about it like I should, given my age, which is 19, 20, 21 years old. This is a hate symbol. They did not change this in Atlanta, Georgia until 2003. There are parts of Atlanta, Georgia that are so totally alienated and isolated from the United States of America, they behave as if the 1964 Civil Rights Act was not passed. What was he doing there? Security? Is that what your excuse is going to be? I believe that Tom Speed Napoli contacted him and said, tell me why your employee was in Atlanta, Georgia. What was the reason? You don't think you have to answer anything from taxpayers. There's the citizen who's the citizen, then the citizen who's the taxpayer. Taxpayers are paying for Ryan Fisher to be in Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter. When he's out of Monroe County, when violence crashes down on Monroe County. Have you ever been employees of the district attorney's office to Avenue D, where Big Mama Rose Grocery is? Because I have been out there. What happens there on Avenue D is extremely alarming. Do you have your vehicles? Your vehicles should be driving in that area all the time on that Avenue D. Do you know why, Todd Baxter? Because the 29-year veteran in the Rochester Police Department, Anthony Mazurkiewicz, was murdered by Kelvin Vickers. I think this was an assassination. It's not like he's trying to enter the residence and it's really dangerous. He's trying to break down the door and there's some kind of warrant or something like that. He's in his vehicle. And I could be incorrect. I think the facts and circumstances, Kelvin Vickers just walked right up to the vehicle of Anthony Mazurkiewicz and murdered him and assassinated him right there in his vehicle. Do you have your vehicles going through that area there, Todd Baxter? What's your cooperation with Mayor Malik Evans, too? Because I believe it's virtually non-existent. I'm going to ask the mayor about this, too. So, it's a violent city. And the reason why I mention that is when violence is crashing down on Rochester, like with the murder of a police officer and the other violence that happens here, this is what your free cop Shannon Meyer is doing to me. She's not on the roads, policing the roads, which is a legitimate function of the sheriff's office. She's not investigating your real case. Here she's writing a warrant for me for walk through a parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times, and then contacting a man named Steve Desmond of Broccolo Tree and Lawn Care, saying to him, I want to arrest this Chris Chichester to get him to come out of the house. She's a free cop, Todd Baxter. And the reason why you will not fire your $83,000 free cop, Shannon Myers, you're a free cop too. You have spent your entire life, nearly, in law enforcement because you're the executive director of the Veterans Outreach Center where I've been. It's impossible for you, Todd Baxter, to understand that Michael Julian's a free cop and a perjurer and you will not fire him. It's impossible for you to understand, Todd Baxter, Shannon Myers is a free cop and you will not fire her. Just like Andrew Reality charged me with a rash cycle when I'm violently attacked by Jermaine Bennett. I'm sitting in the back seat of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle for Andrew Reality. He's charged me with a rash second after I was attacked. And then when I'm calling Penfield Town Court and demanding a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court, Andrew Reality called me and left a message on my iPhone telling me not to call the court. Andrew Reality is interfering with my First Amendment right in how I'm seeking to obtain information from this court that has violated my civil and constitutional rights. Because when I went to Penfield Town Court, there's the sheriff's office at my residence. When I'm contacting Penfield Town Court, Andrew Reality is calling me and telling me not to call the court. This is the sick lunatic fringe, Todd Baxter. I'm demanding information using the legally binding document that's the Freedom of Information Law, and Paul C. Metro and James Reality Jr. refusing to provide it to me, and then they're calling Andrew Reality to try to intimidate me. That's exactly what he's doing. So, over and over and over, demanding information. This is you, Lisa Grady, counsel. You're right here on February 1. I'm telling you, and Perry Duckles here. Again, Perjurer 73-312, Michael C. Lynn, the Sheriff's Office, violence. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, 75,094. Richard J. Seaman. I told you there on February 1, Lisa Grady. Tell me the names of my prosecutors. I'm telling you the same thing, Perry Duckles. I'm telling you Michael C. Lynn's a perjurer. I'm telling you Richard J. Seaman's a violent freak. And it doesn't matter to you at all. So, Todd Baxter. I demanded from you the length of service for sheriff office employees, because the longer someone is at a job can be corruption and incompetence. Can be. The longer you're at a job, also your experience can be invaluable. When I worked in the New York State Capitol, there was a man who worked for Governor Nelson Rockefeller who didn't have a job. He was on the fourth floor and he would walk around the Capitol. It really was a sad thing. And I was told that he was once highly effective. And this man was in the vicinity of 70. I think he was even past 70. Todd Baxter. Do you know Frank Trinetsky? The answer is yes, because Frank Trinetsky's been a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee for 57 years. And if Frank Trinetsky was hired when he was 18, he's 75 years old. There's an old man at the jail that I walked by repeatedly when I was at the jail, and this man will prosecute and talk to court. Is Frank Trinetsky the old man at the jail? Because right here, 57 years, is Frank Trinetsky. That's his name right there. Frank Trinetsky, 57-year employee of the Sheriff's Office. This is the old man at jail. He's a threat to himself. He cannot be around rapists and murderers and these other violent criminals at the jail because he's a 75-year-old man. He has to be at least 75. He's a 57-year employee hired at 18. He's at least 75. This is why you're corrupt. This is the old boy network at the jail. You use the old boy network at political support. Calls him in right above Frank Trinetsky's 32-year employee. He can be 50 years old. He can still be highly effective. Richard Boscow, 25 years here. Barbara Fellows, 33 years. When I was at the jail, there was this woman who I believe was at least a 20-year employee of the Sheriff's Office, would walk back and forth. I'd look up at her, easily 20 pounds overweight. So here you have your employees here. 57-year Frank Trinetsky, 29-year Michael Corey, 33-year Barbara Fellows, 32-year Carl Zimmerman here. None of these employees, I believe, can pass a PT test that you have taken in the United States Army. You don't have any physical training standards whatsoever, which can force Monroe County Sheriff Office employees out of the Monroe County Sheriff Office. If these employees can't even do 20 push-ups and 20 sit-ups in 2 minutes, they should all be fired, released, terminated. You have to be in physical condition to be a police officer, sheriff's employee anywhere in the United States of America. And you're not taking your experience as an E8 in the United States Army, transferring that to the Sheriff's Office. And why? What's the answer? Because you're corrupt. That's the answer. You will never know. You're corrupt. Even though for 42 minutes I've been telling you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra, Doorley, you, Barry Duckles, and you, Julie Sianka, Mark Phillips, Gavino Harper, Alex Renzi, that you're corrupt. Who is it? Who's the freaks? I have multiple freaks. This is the payroll for the district attorney's office. I have prosecuted silence. Who are the freaks prosecuting me in total silence? You refuse to answer, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, District Attorney, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, because you're corrupt. So what I just read here on this May 24th, these 17 Freedom of Information Law documents will be back here on May 26th, the same 17, and I possibly could have it up to 30. And you refuse to comply with every single one, including identification of my prosecutor's silence, because you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and you, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, are corrupt. Sheriff Todd Baxter, your employees, sworn officers of law with a holstered weapon and badge, have violently attacked me repeatedly, and that means nothing to you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, because you're the blue wall silence.